In part 1, we found a ton of metal shavings in the oil filter, which was not a good sign. We then checked the big end bearings, which were bad, but definitely not this bad. Which leaves us with the final option, which is ripping the engine out, and that is what we're doing in this video. First, we are going to be prepping the engine bay and pulling out the accessories like radiator and stuff. So secondly, we can then pull the engine out. And knowing me, nothing's ever easy. It is going to take a while, and it is my first time ever pulling an engine out. So then finally, we can chuck it on an engine stand. So in the next video, we can start figuring out what is causing the knock. I went ahead and organized my tool trolley just so I have everything that I need close by, and I don't have to keep walking in and out of the garage all the time. I've also already gone ahead and taken the bull bar off just to make it easier to access. I'm not hitting my shins on it all the time. It's massive old school bull bar, but I do kind of rate the no bull bar look. So maybe there will be a different bar going on when this thing is hopefully running again. And yeah, so the main things we need to get rid of is both batteries, the coolant overflow, air intake, and the fan and radiator. And I think that's kind of it. And then I'm going to go through with masking tape and pens, and I'm going to start unplugging all the electrical harness that is connected to the engine and marking them so when I'm putting it back I don't forget, and just to make sure there's a very easy visual way when it's back in there to know that I've connected everything that needed to be connected. And as with most stuff on this build, I've never done any of this before. I've removed batteries, but in terms of taking an engine out, this is my first time. So all the stuff that I do wrong, you can scream at the comments, because if I haven't fixed it or if I did something wrong, good to know, so when I'm reassembling I can do it correctly when I put it back. First battery out of here. Also taking the battery trays out because I'd like to check out the rust and hopefully give this little sand in a bit of paint so it doesn't look so gross. And second battery is out. And yep, even for obvious stuff, I'm labeling it because if not, I'm going to forget and I'm going to lose stuff. And while I'm taking the engine out, there is a bunch of random wiring, which I'm assuming like this is for spotties everywhere, like, so that will all be tidied up and probably a lot of it removed. And now we're going straight onto the radiator. I don't have a lower part of the fan shroud, so I'm leaving the fan on for now. There is 2 bolts that go vertical up and down, and then there is 2 that connect to the front of the car. So I'm gonna give those ones a buzz off first, because I think. And then the next step, I am going to be removing the radiator hose here. I'm gonna undo here and hopefully actually face it down into the bucket that's under there, because the last time I tried this, I got it everywhere. Not perfect, but better. So already hit my first little road bump. Had to basically remove the AC condenser, but you can't really just drop it out because the hoses are attached. So I've had to remove this little panel. You'll be able to see just jammed in there at the moment. And I've kind of done a little bit of damage on the corner there, but oh well, you win some, you lose some. And then I have to do the same on this side. And then now it will be able to come out once that's all done. But honestly, kind of saving grace is the forums and the 12HT Facebook pages and the 60 series ones. Dudes on there, just so much knowledge. Okay, so we finally got that off. And now hopefully, where's a good spot to grab it? Hose keeps getting hooked. There we go. Oh, it's out. Maximum effort, but we can give this a full drain. Oh no. That was so stupid, Corey. And since I had to lift this panel and there is like a little bit of rust forming, I'm gonna go over with some anti-corrosion stuff and spray it and then bolt it straight back down just to avoid anything extra getting in there. So I've been putting in a bit of work and started labeling a bunch of stuff all around, but I'm gonna take the intake off and that will just make it easier to work around. Cool, so now that the engine bay is pretty neat and tidy and there is way more space for me to walk around, the next part of this video is gonna get what I will call janky. And that is because someone on Instagram told me that I should take this moment to take off the flux capacitor. I'm kidding, it's the harmonic? How do you even say that word? the harmonic balance bolt, which is the pulley that is connected, the crankshaft one, and it's 46 mil. And now we embark on the schedule. So we have the breaker bar going clockwise, gonna hit the chassis. Once I tick over the engine, let's go. Key in and 3, 2, 1. The batteries are not in the car. So we're back the next day and I've topped up the battery for an hour on charge, and I've stuffed a bunch of rags down around the socket, so hopefully that holds it in place, so as it ticks over it doesn't drop down like it looked like it was doing yesterday. And this is going to be my last attempt. Now sometimes there's moments where you go, I am an idiot. I think I just figured out what. I'm assuming it's not helping, but the fan is obviously hitting on the socket. So I'm going to take the fan off and it needs to come off anyway. Alright, here we go, final take. 3, 2, 1. So I've given up on that and we're going to move on because I want this thing out of here by tomorrow afternoon. So after a little bit more tagging and stuff in the engine bay and undoing a couple of bolts, we have the AC compressor off, which I'm going to gently probably cable tie somewhere out of the way, so it does not, like the hoses don't get damaged. I'm going to say this a million times if you're following along at home, do not forget to mount your hardware. This side's pretty simple, pretty straightforward. It's just wires and bolts and bits and pieces. So alternator fully done. And then now we're going to move on to the more difficult side. Now we have the bottom power steering line. I've undone it already and it's going to pull it off. Well, that one worked much better than the coolant one. It actually kind of dripped in a nice easy stream. All right, another jump forward. We have taken the fuel lines off. I've just chucked a bolt in there and then tightened the hose clamps down on them so nothing gets in them and nothing leaks out. What else needs to be done on this side? And then all that's really left on that side of the engine is the vac lines, a massive earth that's bolted underneath the engine, and then we get to undoing the physical stuff, finally making good progress. Been a bit of a long one, but hopefully the video is enjoyable and entertaining watching me try everything 30 times. Let's keep going. So back under the car, and you can see I've got all these things here tagged, all for the starter motor mostly. So I've just got to go unplug all of them. Still need to do the accelerator though, and I'm not exactly sure how to do that. Chuck in the spanner. Is it the right size? Nope, it's not. Let's see. Not 13. 12 Arena. So, spanner on the accelerator cable to loosen that up. But yeah, so this is probably where I'm stopping today, not this video, just having a quick break. Alright, so today is the day we're finally getting the donk out of here, but step one is going to be taking the bonnet off because the only things left in here is this little vac line and these hoses that go into the cab, but they are on real tight, so I kind of need to be able to pull up, and knowing me, I'm going to break my hand on something here. Time to take the bonnet off. Ready? Yeah. Then we'll go into the grass. Well, that actually went quite easy. Yes. Now that the bonnet is off, I have a jack here and I jack up the transmission just so the trans mounts don't snap, and also the drive shaft stays healthy. And I've never used an engine crane before, so this is going to be fun. I'm also not quite sure if it is going to clear the front of the car. I reckon this is pretty low, and the engine is also quite large. And I've still not completely decided what we're going to be doing with the engine after we take it out. I do still really want to open it up, but if I do that, I'm going to have to reassemble it, especially if I'm sending it to a machine shop. But once it's out, we'll have a look around and then figure out what we're going to do with it. All right, second try lucky. That's better. Alrighty, now that that's done, time to start undoing some bolts.
It's going to be pretty hard to see, but the socket's on the end there, and the drill is literally jammed in, hopefully.
I don't know which way righty-tighty, lefty-loosey is, because I'm like upside down back to front. I've covered everything up. It is just way too hot in there, so hopefully that will cool it down over the next hour or so, while the sun gets a little bit lower and a bit cooler. Alrighty, engine mounts are unhooked, everything else is undone. Get ready for what is probably going to be a couple minutes for you, but for me, probably an hour or two of messing around. I actually don't even really know where to start. Just popped this side engine mount off, now I get this side hopefully. This is getting scary. So I need to get it that way, but the engine mount is still hooked on that side. So once I get that off, then I think we will be through. There we go, it is up, floating. You can see clutch is back there. Still, I'm definitely going to need to go back a bit before I can go up and over. That bit there went with a lot less hiccups than I thought it was going to, and it doesn't look like I damaged that back there. I can't see any scratches or anything, but I will inspect that before I put everything back in. So it's looking like the whole front of the car is probably going to need to come off because I cannot clear it, and we can't really put it back down on the engine mounts because we have to get it back into the gearbox. There is a lot of clearance we need to gain, but I don't like our chances here. This is already getting more involved. Grill had to come off, and then I'm assuming AC condenser is also going to have to come off. It's getting pretty long and drawn out, and I just had my first ever bolt snap off on the 60. Luckily it is a little front panel, no big fuss. I'll probably just be able to push it through. One more bolt, this comes off, and then this is obviously loose, but I need to sort what to do with the gas before the rest can come out. Fast forwarded to the next morning, and we have had the aircon degassed. So I've unclipped that hose, which now means the AC condenser can finally come out, which will hopefully give us enough room to get the engine out of here. This should be it. This should be when the car comes out of the engine. The car comes out of the engine is what I just said. The engine comes out of the car. So I was finally getting excited to pull this out, and then my GoPro just broke. So you're gonna have to live with just this angle here, which is not gonna look as good, but it will work. Be safe here, I'm gonna bring the BT50 up a little bit because I'm worried that I might lose control and this thing might roll down the hill. One last big pull, but this one's not gonna tickle. So now that the engine is out, I'm hoping that I'm going to be able to find the oil leak. Like, I still really, even like hanging here, can't see it. Over the timing cover there is that insanely thick like gunk build-up. Should be able to see now. It's just crazy, like I don't know how there is that much there, but that will all get cleaned. And now pick up an engine stand so I can get this off this sketchy thing. Plan was now that I would connect the engine to the stand and start pulling it apart, but these videos are now going weekly, so it's gonna be a new one of these every single week, so I kind of have to hit that deadline. So that will be the next episode. I can tell you now, I already had troubles getting the clutch off because all the bolts were rounded, so it's gonna be a funny episode and I'm gonna be learning a lot. So if you're not already subscribed, hit subscribe because that will make sure that the algorithm shows you every episode. It's gonna get fun. Found a ton of oil in the oil, obviously. When the car comes out of the engine,